Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining my village. Last week I gamesplaned Village. This game is my village. They are of the same world, in fact they are the same thematic idea. So we have a village, we have generational workers who will die and go into Village Chronicles to gain points, and you're in essence worker placementing to gather all resources and get points. This is a similar game but very different. I am very glad that I own both Village and My Village. In My Village you are rolling a pile of dice which everyone at the table will use. There are black dice in there. When you take a black die, that will cost you 2 time. Time is the currency of the game. You once again have a track that your little marker will move around. When it crosses the bridge, someone's going to die. You have a whole bunch of little black token markers that represent different things depending where they're put. So if they're put in one spot, they are money. If they are put on any of the 5 spots on the sides of your board, they are the worker who is working in those locations. If they're put on top of any of the craft buildings, so buildings where you create stuff, they are whatever has been created. Elements like that, tough to get your head around unless you play games where one physical element can stand for or represent the multiple elements. Once you get your head around that, that's okay. It's not too much of a brain strain to work with. When each of the spaces that you can go to, or the worker placement-y spots, the spots that are marked by your workers, are the same as the spots on the village board. You don't have to know Village to be able to play My Village, but it helps to understand it. It really does help to understand it. So you have a green spot, which is for your travel, and there's a line of travel cards, and you can spend time to travel to the first card. Then you can spend whatever is necessary to get to the next card. There is, up in the top left-hand corner, there is the church space. You need to build a church to be able to then add some monks to that church. Each monk you add gives you a straightaway benefit, and then you flip it over and there's a little picture of a window, an extension of the church, and so the number of those windows that you have at the end of the game will give you points. Now the more windows you get, it's not a multiplier, it's a jumping track. So if you can get 6 windows, you're going to get heaps of Uber points. If you've only got 2, you'll probably get like 1 point. So that's really worthwhile thing to do in that corner. Then you've got the council chambers, which enable you to change the face of a die, plus some other little elements. And these are marked with those little black tokens as well, so showing how many times you can do it. What else we have? We've got the craft buildings, which can create any of the items, so plows or horses or wagons, scrolls, things like that. And then you have the visitors that come to trade, to buy the stuff, and they show you what they want to buy. And they've got points on them, so if you can sell the goods to them, you can buy them. Now, you're only able to action any of those spots if you have the worker still standing on their spot. So when you hit the point where you cross the bridge with your marker, you've got to kill off a worker. You choose one of those 5, kill him off up into the graveyard. That will give you either 1 or 2 points if the spots in the Village Chronicle are still available. If not, it has to go to an unmarked grave, no points for that. But when there's not a worker on that spot, you cannot action the card. You cannot bring new cards into the spots. There's a lot of thinkiness on this course. I mean, you could decide to, I'm not going to use the travel at all. So every time you have to kill off a worker, just kill off the travel person. But there's only 2 spots up in the Village Chronicles for a travel person. So you're only going to get points off killing him twice. After that, you could continue to kill him off, but you're not going to get the points for it. So making the decisions as to when to allow your workers to be killed off is actually a really finicky part of this game, and it's a good part, it's a meaty part, it's a tactical part. The other thing is, whenever one of your workers dies, you roll this grey die. The grey die moves a rat along a track. When the rat gets to the end of his track, he's going to eat half of the points that you have accrued. Now, what that looks like is, whenever you get points for doing something, you take a point chip, you put it onto this thing called a story tree. You have the ability to use some of your movements or some of your actions to move a meeple out from the building to a spot where you'll get some money. Then the next move, you can move further out to add 3 more points to the story tree, or you could just go back to the building. Whenever your worker goes back to the building, all of the points on the story tree go to the building and they're safe then. So any points on this story tree, if the rat hits the end of its line, half of those points are lost. So working out when the most appropriate time to move that around is really important, because you can get caught out so quickly and lose uber points if you haven't gone out to collect the story tree points through the game. But that movement of that guy, it feels like a wasted turn when you're doing it, but it's a really important one. Now, the basics of the game, so that's kind of the overall essence, but the basics of the game is this pile of dice that are rolled. When you roll the dice, each person in their turn is going to take 2 of the faces and add them together. That will give them a number. That number, and there's a lot of options on what these numbers could be, but that number tells you what spaces or what cards are able to be taken from the community area, and you can only do one of them. So I think they call them black, but they look kind of blue to me, banners. You'll see them when you look at the next video. Or you can select one of those, well, a pair of the dice to add up to a number, and wherever that number exists on your white banners on your own personal area, you can action it. So that might look like actioning 3 of the craft buildings because they're all the same number, so you can create all 3 of those. It might also look like selling to a couple of people who have that white banner number on their card. It might also look like one of the other actions on your own board. And making the decisions as to which dice to grab and to use is really, really important in this game. There are those black dice which will cost you 2 more time to take, but you know, you can avoid using them, or you could really embrace using those dice. And that's up to you to how quickly you want to kill people off, or how badly you want that particular number. This dice selection, it's an intriguing mechanism. I haven't come across it being used in that way previously. It always feels to me that when Euros come with a handful of dice, it always feels a little odd to me. But in this case, it works. Quite often you have an option of anywhere between 4 and 10. If you're really lucky, you'll have the options of anywhere between 2 and 12. But usually you're going to end up with a couple of options between 4 and 10, and kind of working out which one of them you actually need to do right now, which one's going to be available to you later, is really important. I like this game. I think that this game is a little bit more clunky than Village, and it's a little bit more brain strainy. It looks very different on the table. It's more card and dice based than board based and cube based, but they're both very good games. I really like both of them. I hope to get My Village to the table more often than I already have. I really suggest that you do give My Village a look, even if you know Village very well. In fact, if you know Village very well, give My Village a go. They are very different games with the similar theme. I'm going to leave that there. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you have any games that you wish to be Gamesplayed, please shoot me an email at thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at thegamesplainer to see what games I've been playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.